Hello everybody, CW here. Let's do a little bit with the 300 HAM'r. I've been well, I haven't been shooting this one like I should be, and it's time I do. Last month, middle of June, I decided I wanted to try some different bullets. Now I've bought the bullet that's recommended for this, which is the Spear 130 grain flat point. That's the bullet that Bill Wilson recommends for this cartridge. I've got some of the 150 grain gold dots, but I was under the assumption that they were too long and couldn't be seated properly. But I'm reading on Wilson's site that he is actually really liking that bullet, so I'm going to have to look at that too. But another bullet that was recommended is the 125 grain Game Changer, new bullet, Game Changer. But I'm finding that with that plastic tip, it and the powder capacity, the powder charge that these run at, this cartridge runs right at the cusp of the pressure node. So best accuracy is usually right at maximum or near maximum. Doesn't mean you should load it there to start. You got to load lighter and work up, but you'll probably find that your best accuracy falls with the 100% density and right near maximum pressure loadings. I'm not really thrilled about that, especially in an AR, but that's not the point of the video here. The point of the video is I picked up some AccuBonds, 125 grain AccuBonds. I don't know that this cartridge is really going to overperform any given 125 grain bullet. I've got some Spear, I've got some Sierra 125 Game Kings, which are supposed to be really good bullets. Somehow I've not used them in the 300 Blackout. Don't really know why. Maybe I couldn't get them, or I don't really know why. I've used a lot of bullets in the Blackout. I haven't used that one. I've got some 135 FTX bullets, and I didn't get good accuracy out of them in the HAM'r. But I didn't really try a lot of different powders, really look. But the 125 Sierra works really good with this CFE black. The 125 Game Changer also shot really well, but I'm right at the top pressures, and it's highly compressed. I mean a full case of powder, and then seat the bullet on top. And CFE black is a ball powder, so it doesn't compress really well. So it's not great, and that's what I've been reading with other people. It shoots good, but because of that hard plastic tip and the constraint of 2.260, I should say, with most AR magazines, it's rough. Now there's a couple magazines out there that are a little longer, steel magazines. You can get a little more length in them. You might get just over 2.27. It's not much, but it's something. And then there's what I've done here. And in my searches, I found that a couple other people have done it too. And I discovered this in the 2545. I wanted to try, I'm going to confuse you now, but I'm talking 2545 right this second. I wanted to try the 85 grain ballistic tips, but they're too long. To keep them at 2.260, the bullet has to be seated so the ogive is in the neck of the case. So it really looks funky. So what I did was I filed the tip flat. Now on that cartridge, it's going to affect performance, because that cartridge can absolutely reach out, 300 plus yards. And with a bullet, flat tip bullet like that, it's not going to be great. But if you're staying inside 200 yards, inside 300 yards even, but inside 200 yards, there's zero loss. Zero appreciable, measurable, appreciable loss in bullet performance from round nose, Spitzer, flat point, across the board. There's no difference. Not appreciable, not worth mentioning, not worth worrying about difference. As you stretch it, yeah, absolutely it's different. And as you get really long range, holy goodness, yeah, it's stupid. You don't even want to think about those other bullets. But for what this is a 100 to 200 yard cartridge. Stretch it to 250, 300, but I won't. If I'm going to be shooting that far, I'm going to take a bigger gun. For me, this is, inside 200 yards. That's what I want. That's what I want it for. That's what I need. And even then, it's just late season. Sometimes when the woods open up, or I'm sitting in the edge of a field or something, I can stretch that yardage out past what the cartridge can do. And I'm speaking to the blackout. I like to keep the blackout inside 100. 125 that's it. I don't want to push it any farther. But this one, I'm getting much better performance. 125 grain bullets are doing 2,600 plus feet per second. Well, 2,500, high 2,500s, low 2,600s. Whereas the blackout with the short 16-inch barrels is maybe doing 23, 22, 2190, 2175. This one's doing solid 2550 plus. So it's going to stretch that yardage well into the 200s, low 200s, and have better performance, better on game, on target impact, velocity, and energy than the blackout would. So I'm not worried about pushing this. So looking at premium bullets, that's where, we're coming all around full circle back to my first statement. I'm not sure this cartridge can really perform well enough to outclass the bullets it's shooting. Accubon's being a bonded core premium, lower end premium bullet. They're really designed and better suited for larger calibers that can absolutely outclass their projectiles, like the magnums, the small magnums, even the 06 with lighter bullets class of cartridge, 270, things like that, 280, 2506, all those can outclass their bullets, at least the lighter ones on game. So the bonded core helps you not over expand. Like right on the box here, we've got 2,000 feet per second. We've got expansion, 2,300, 2,900, 3,200. Now we're never going to see that with this. I already told you our top velocity is probably, let's just say 26 for the sake of argument. So we're right in here, and then 2,000 at the low end. So it'll expand beneath 2,000, but that's good expansion. So anything less than that is going to be marginal expansion. And where does that threshold fall? We're going to call it like 1,800, 1,700. So where this cartridge drops to 1,700, 1,800 is about the limit for what you want to be shooting game with. We're getting away from what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about what I did to these bullets and how it's something that you may be able to do for yourselves if you're in the same boat as me, shooting at closer ranges and having a problem fitting the bullet, and having the bullet having to be seated so deeply it's taking away powder capacity or causing overly compressed loads. So this is seated at 2.250. So I've got plenty of room. That's an Accubon bullet with the tip filed off. And I'll show you how I did it. Stand by. Now, I know I was talking about the Accubons, but I've already got those loaded. So I'm not going to file anymore, but I want to load up some of these and try them. So I need to file some of these. So this is what we're going to do. This is the Sierra Game Changer. This is a 125 grain bullet. This is not a bonded core, but I believe it is a tapered jacket. It's a Game King bullet, so it should be a good game bullet. So let's take a look at one of these, and I'll show you what we're dealing with. I just dropped a bullet on the ground. Basically, it's a flat-based polymer tip bullet. So what we're going to do is we're going to file this flat to the copper jacket. So, you know, you can try and hold this and file it, but it's not going to be easy. You know, trying to do this and file that off. You can do it, but it's not going to be easy. So I said, what can I use to hold the bullet for me and let me get a good flat grind on here, or polish on here, or, you know, file on here, and not damage the bullet at all. So what I did was, I've got my bullet puller, my collet bullet puller, upside down in this press. It comes up from the bottom, and I'll show you in a second here if you really want to see it. But so the collet's at the top. So I take my bullet, I just put it in here just a little bit to hold it, and then I tighten the collet. Now it's squeezing on all sides, and it's got that bullet solid, really, really good. So now I can come in here. Let me put a little bit of light on the subject. Now I can come in here, and just a couple of passes with this file, I am down, and there it goes. I filed it right off, right to the tip. Bang my file off, back this out, and pick my bullet up. There we go. There is the tip filed off, no damage to anything. Filed off perfectly flush, perfectly square. The tip's gone. This is not going to affect performance. Basically, all a plastic tip bullet is a hollow point. That's really all it is. The plastic tip pushes back in, initiates expansion, and it also gives you a streamlined shape for bucking the wind and good ballistic coefficients. We're not worried about ballistic coefficients because we're shooting at close range. They don't make a difference till you get out past a few 300 yards or so. So this is going to be fine. We've still got the plastic plug in there, so when we hit something, that plastic plug is going to push in. It's still going to do its job. It's going to initiate expansion, and we're going to get the same performance we would have got with this tip, but we're going to get it with a bullet that's got a flat point, that now we can seat that bullet out of the case that much farther. And that's a lot. That's a lot. Just roughly measuring here, just rough. Let's just round it off. 2/10. 2/10, that much. That's a lot. That's all powder capacity that you gain back, all compression that you don't have to compress. And you can seat the bullet to the same 2260, you know, 2259, 2257, something to make sure it goes in your magazine. And you're going to pick up all that powder capacity, non-compressed powder, and be able to shoot the same bullet. So something to think about. I'm going to continue here, and I'm going to grind off the tips on about 18 more of these, and then I'm going to load up a box of 20 and take it to the range. And you see just how fast this plastic tip comes off here till you get down to the top of the copper, and then the plastic is gone. There you go. Just open the tool, bullet comes right out, perfect condition, ready to be loaded. So something to think about. Another tool for your box, another tool that you might be able to use one day, and hopefully it helps you out. So there we go, from CW's reloading bench. God bless everybody. CW out.